Your life can look completely fine and still feel like it doesn't belong to you anymore. That's the part I would say nobody sees. You get up, you answer the messages, you show up at work and do your best. You take care of everything and the people who need you. You keep the calendar in your head, the groceries handled, you keep the birthdays remembered, and you keep all the small emotional fires under control. So from the outside, nothing looks wrong. Maybe that's exactly why it's so hard to admit the truth. Because this doesn't look like drama or collapse, it looks like a normal life, a responsible life, a life people may or other people may even admire. And still, someone inside of you, or somewhere inside of you, there's a quiet sentence you don't say out loud. Like, my life works, but it doesn't feel like mine anymore. And with that sentence, this video really begins, I would say. Because maybe the reason your life still doesn't feel like yours, especially if you're over 40, isn't that you're confused. Maybe it's not that you're ungrateful. Maybe it's not that you need another planner or another routine or another weekend away. You don't need another attempt to become calmer or more disciplined or a better version of you. Maybe the real reason is you've spent too many years making a life work while leaving too little room for the woman who has to live in it. And at the same point, the part of you that got left out begins to speak. Maybe not loudly, maybe not clearly. Sometimes this voice speaks through exhaustion, or sometimes it speaks through irritation, sometimes through such an inner numbness, sometimes through the stage or the strange feeling that you should be happy, but you're not. And sometimes it speaks, when you sit in the car for 3 extra minutes before you go inside. And sometimes it speaks at night when the house is quiet and you're on your own and everything feels suddenly too loud. And because your life still works, you start questioning yourself. You may think, maybe I'm tired, or maybe every woman feels like that, feels this way. Maybe this is just what getting older feels like. Maybe I should stop wanting more. But here's what I want to put on the table today. What you call tired may be the part of you that's done with disappearing. This is where I would say so many women in their 40s or 50s or beyond find themselves. It's not about crisis, it's more about being more honest to yourself. The outside world may still call you capable, reliable, strong, put together. You are the one who can handle things. And for a long time, those phrases, those words may have felt like safety. They gave you a place, they gave you recognition, they made you useful. Maybe being needed felt close enough to being loved. Or maybe being praised felt close enough to being seen. Or maybe being reliable felt close enough to having a real self, until it didn't. Until one day or 1 minute, one moment, being strong no longer felt like power. It felt more like a role you were not longer allowed to leave. You were allowed to carry things, you are allowed to be reasonable, you are allowed to adjust, you are allowed to keep the peace, you are allowed to make everything easier for everyone else. But where exactly were you allowed to be fully honest with yourself? Where are you allowed to want more? Where are you allowed to say, this doesn't fit me anymore? Where are you allowed to change without explaining yourself into a corner? And this is the part we often skip when we talk about burnout or exhaustion. We talk about doing too much. And yes, many women are doing too much. But sometimes the deep exhaustion doesn't come from how much you're doing. Sometimes it comes more from the version of you that has to do it. The version of you that smiles when she wants to tell the truth. The version that says, I'm fine, because the honest answer would put inconvenience in the room. The version that keeps functioning in a life that was built around an earlier version of you. Or a self who needed approval, or a self who needed safety, or a self who needed to prove she can handle it. And that self didn't fail you. She helped you to survive. She helped you to build. She helped you to become responsible, confident, respected, competent, trusted, and there's dignity in that. But a life that protects a younger version of you can become too small for the woman you are now. And that's why I want to feel better. Mainnet doesn't solve it. You can rest for a weekend and still come back to the same tight structure. You can take a bath, relax, and still return to the same quiet ressentiment. You can organize the house, clear the inbox, go for a walk, read the books, write the gratitude list, and still feel the same wrongness underneath. Because you are trying to feel better inside a life that doesn't have enough of you in it, and that matters. It changes the perspective, the question. So instead of asking, how do I fix myself, start asking different questions like, where have I made myself disappear? Where do I keep saying yes because being honest would disrupt the system? Or where do I keep performing fine because I don't want to explain my truth? Where do I keep calling this life good enough because I'm afraid of what would happen if I admit it no longer fits? And maybe the most important question is, where am I trying to feel better instead of admitting that something has to become more honest? And these questions you may not answer in a few seconds. Let it land, because your life may not need to explode. You may not need to you may not need to start all over. Just tell the truth to yourself. You may need one place where you stop pretending, one honest sentence, one boundary you stop apologizing for, or one desire you stop dismissing, or one role you stop protecting at the cost of your own aliveness. One tiny return to yourself, and then the next. And this maybe is why the second half of life can feel a little bit uncomfortable. Because on one hand side, the old identity still works. The people still respond to that identity. You still get things done. You still keep the machine moving, working. But on the other side, something in you is no longer willing just to be working. You want a life that can hold your truth, your voice, your standards, your desire, your energy, your creativity, your actual presence. Not the version of you who manages everything. The woman who really is actually here, the woman you are right now. So the point of this video is not about burning out. It's more about stop misreading the signal. Your tiredness may be asking for more than rest. Your irritation may be asking for more than patience. Your inner numbness may be asking for more than gratitude. Or your longing may be asking for more than a motivational quote on the fridge. It may be asking for you, the unedited you, the honest you, the you who no longer wants to make her whole life acceptable before she allows it to be really true. And that's the shift. You don't reclaim your life by becoming perfect. You reclaim it by becoming less absent. Be you in your decisions. Be really you in your relationships. Be really you in your work, in the way you spend your time. Be you in the standards you live by. And be you in the dreams you quietly kept lowering so nobody has to be uncomfortable. If your life looks fine but feels wrong, don't rush to shame yourself. You don't need to call it a crisis. You don't need to call yourself ungrateful. Just ask different questions like, what part of me is missing from the life I'm trying so hard to maintain? These questions can change the room. It can change what you notice. It can change the way you hear your own inner voice, or it can change what you stop tolerating. It can change what you are willing to tell to yourself or how you talk to yourself. And maybe this is where your return begins. You don't need a perfect plan or a dramatic announcement. And you don't need to be someone else. Just start with one honest recognition. I'm not here to keep a life running while I'm disappearing inside it. I'm Katja. This space is for women over 40 who are capable, responsible, and really put together, but privately know they can keep on living as if I'm fine is enough. We talk about identity, courage, and most of all of the second half of life. So if this video gave language to something you've been feeling, subscribe. And comment reclaim if you are done pretending your life is fine just because it works. That's not enough. So thank you for being here. See you in the next video. Bye bye.